Are you ready to crank up the volume and step into the untamed world of a true rock icon? In today's video, we're diving headfirst into the explosive lifestyle of the one and only Billy Idol. From his staggering $60 million net worth in 2025 to a mansion that looks straight out of a rock and roll fantasy and a car collection that roars just as loud as his music, this is a ride you do not want to miss. But that's just the beginning. We're peeling back the leather jacket to reveal the wild stories, hidden luxuries, and jaw-dropping moments that only true fans and fearless viewers will stick around to discover. So buckle up, because Billy Idol's life off stage is even more rebellious, outrageous, and fascinating than you ever imagined. Born William Michael Albert Broad on November 30th, 1955, in the quiet suburb of Stanmore, London, he wouldn't stay rooted in one place for long. When he was just 2 years old, his parents, Joan and Bill, packed up and moved the family across the Atlantic to Patchogue, New York. Life in America was a chapter of discovery and change. It was during this stretch, while the Broads also lived in Rockville Center, that Billy's sister Jane was born. But the pull of England proved stronger than the American dream. After 4 years, the family returned to their homeland, first landing in the scenic calm of Dorking, Surrey, before eventually settling in Bromley in the southeast of London. Billy, still William at the time, attended Ravensbourne School for Boys, and later, after another family moved to Goring-by-Sea in West Sussex, he finished his schooling at Worthing High School for Boys. By 1975, Billy had enrolled at the University of Sussex to study English, a path that suggested a quieter, more academic future. But 1 year into his studies, the call of punk was louder than any lecture hall. Dropping out, he joined the Bromley contingent, a rebellious group of Sex Pistols devotees who helped fan the flames of the UK punk scene. Somewhere in that chaos, the name Billy Idol was born, an ironic twist on a school teacher's remark that Billy is idle. Wanting to avoid confusion with Monty Python's Eric Idle, he gave it a sharper edge, switching idol to idol. By 1976, Billy Idol had already started carving his path through the jagged terrain of punk rock. He picked up a guitar for the retro rock band Chelsea, but that partnership barely made it past the honeymoon phase. Just weeks in, Billy walked away, taking Chelsea's bassist Tony James with him. The two struck out on their own, forming Generation X, one of the first punk bands to make it onto the BBC's Top of the Pops. With Billy at the mic, bleached and brash, the band released 3 albums under Chrysalis Records: Generation X, 1978, Valley of the Dolls, 1979, and Kiss Me Deadly, 1981. But punk was evolving, and so was Billy. In 1981, he packed up for New York City, swapping London grit for Manhattan edge. There, he linked up with Bill Aucoin, the man who helped launch Kiss into the stratosphere. Billy's solo era began with the EP Don't Stop, featuring future signature tracks like Dancing with Myself and a raw, revved-up cover of Money Money. Alongside guitarist Steve Stevens, bassist Phil Feit, and drummer Greg Gerson, Billy was building something louder and slicker than punk, a new wave of rock and roll with a snarl. His first full-length solo album, Billy Idol, dropped on July 16, 1982. It struck gold in the US and went platinum in Canada. The dark, hypnotic White Wedding burned its way up the Billboard Top Tracks chart, peaking at number 4 and sealing Billy's place in the MTV-driven culture of the 80s. Then came Rebel Yell in 1983, a ferocious follow-up that exploded commercially, earning 2x platinum in the US and 5x platinum in Canada. The album's smoldering blend of synth and guitar gave birth to classics like Eyes Without a Face, which haunted airwaves worldwide and cracked the top 10 across the US, Germany, and New Zealand. He kept the heat coming with 1986's Whiplash Smile, an album dripping in dark glamour that went platinum in the US, gold in the UK and Finland, and triple platinum in Canada. Then came Vital Idol in 1987, a remix album that revived Money Money with a live wire performance so electric it shot straight to the top of the Billboard Hot 100. As the 80s faded into the rear view, Billy moved to Los Angeles, riding high on fame, but not without turbulence. Director James Cameron had tapped him as his first choice to play the shape-shifting T-1000 in Terminator 2, Judgment Day, but fate intervened. A serious motorcycle accident in 1990 took him out of the running, and the role was recast. Still, Billy didn't slow down. That same year, he dropped Charmed Life, which featured the lusty anthem Cradle of Love and a swaggering cover of The Doors' L.A. Woman. In 1993, Idol veered into experimental territory with the cyber-infused concept album Cyberpunk, a bold detour into digital rebellion that also included a one-off Generation X reunion show. By the late 90s, Billy was embracing a new kind of spotlight, appearing as himself in the 1998 rom-com The Wedding Singer, where his cameo turned him into a whole new kind of cultural icon. White Wedding blasted from the soundtrack, sparking fresh nostalgia for a wilder time. Billy's eclectic streak continued. In 2000, he lent his voice to an alien character named Odin in the animated film Heavy Metal 2000. A year later, he pulled back the curtain on his life and career in Behind the Music and VH1 Storytellers, proof that Billy Idol wasn't just a face from the past, but a living, evolving part of rock's ongoing story. Through reinvention, rebellion, and more than a few scars, Billy never stopped dancing with himself or daring the world to join in. After more than a decade away from the studio spotlight, Billy Idol roared back into action in 2005 with Devil's Playground, an album that didn't just mark a return, it kicked the doors wide open. Gritty, high-octane, and unmistakably Idol, the record reminded fans that the sneer was still intact, the energy still explosive. That same year, he dipped a boot into punk's younger scene with a few performances on the Vans Warped Tour, proving he could still hold his own among the new generation of rockers. Then, in a surprising left turn, 2006 saw Idol donning a Santa hat, figuratively at least, with the release of Happy Holidays, a Christmas album blending his signature sound with holiday cheer. Yes, Billy Idol covered Frosty the Snowman and Jingle Bell Rock, and somehow made them feel like they belonged in a leather jacket. Alongside those classics were two original tracks, Christmas Love and Happy Holiday, offering a peek at the softer, if still swaggering, side of the punk prince. As the digital age blurred the line between music and gaming, Idol's anthems found new life with a new audience. Rebel Yell became a playable track in Guitar Hero World Tour in 2008, while Rock Band 2 gave players the chance to shred through White Wedding, eventually adding Rebel Yell and Money Money to its catalog. It was a perfect match. Billy's music has always had that wild, jump-off-the-furniture energy, and now fans could live it with plastic guitars in hand. In 2009, he brought his raw stage presence to television with a live performance for the U.S. series Soundstage, later released as the DVD in Super Overdrive Live. The set captured everything that made Idol timeless: the smirk, the snarl, and a catalog of songs that still hit with the force of a raised fist. Then came 2014's Kings and Queens of the Underground, Idol's 8th solo studio album. A reflective, muscular record with both bite and heart, it was a reminder that age hadn't dulled his edge. It had only sharpened his storytelling. 4 years later, in 2018, he reunited with old allies, Generation X bandmate Tony James and punk legends Steve Jones and Paul Cook of the Sex Pistols. Together, they hit the stage at the legendary Roxy in Hollywood, fusing the legacy of punk with the electricity of the present. By 2020, Billy Idol had added a new role to his resume, environmental crusader. In a tongue-in-cheek but effective public service campaign called Billy Never Idles, he turned his rebel yell toward pollution, urging drivers to turn off their engines when parked. With slogans like, "If you're not driving, shut your damn engine off," Idol proved he could channel his defiance into a cause beyond music, still fighting the good fight, just in a different key. That same year, he teamed up with pop iconoclast Miley Cyrus on the track Night Crawling from her album Plastic Hearts, his gravel-throated voice snarling through a storm of synths and attitude. The collaboration was more than a cameo, it was a passing of the torch between rebels, a cross-generational howl in the night. Mansion in Hollywood Hills. Billy Idol's $7 million Hollywood Hills mansion isn't just a home. It's a swaggering, three-story love letter to rock and roll opulence. Nestled in the hills with a view that stretches past the imagination, this 4,084-square-foot retreat fuses raw rockstar energy with sophisticated design, wrapping luxury, edge, and style into one wildly compelling package. It's not a house that whispers nice. It roars iconic. From the moment you step inside, the drama begins. Towering glass walls stretch from floor to ceiling, framed with iron and attitude, inviting sunlight and canyon views to crash the party. Nature isn't just outside, it's woven into the home's rhythm. With over 2,400 square feet of park-like grounds, this property doesn't merely sit on the land, it sings with it. The interior spaces are as bold and unforgettable as Idol himself. The living room is a showstopper, with double-height ceilings that make you feel like you've just walked onto the stage of a private concert. Nearby, the formal dining room curves around a spectacular wall of 9 windows, offering panoramic vistas that turn dinner into an event. And when it comes to architectural flourishes, nothing steals the spotlight like the sweeping spiral staircase, a sculptural centerpiece that leads down to a plush home theater, perfect for late-night movie marathons or screening that long-lost concert footage. Polished hardwood floors carry you out to a spacious deck overlooking the lush lawn and Hollywood sunsets that seem almost too cinematic to be real. Whether it's an intimate cocktail hour or a blowout bash, this home was made for hosting, and of course, the kitchen is rockstar ready, a high-end culinary playground fitted with sub-zero appliances, a Viking stove with twin ovens, and a massive chef's island with a built-in booth counter that casually faces a tranquil front yard pond. Think espresso in the morning, whiskey at night, and always a place to gather. Just off the kitchen is a stylish powder room and a relaxed family room, complete with its own bar, ideal for unwinding after dinner or keeping the party alive into the night. Upstairs, privacy reigns. The master suite is a world of its own, with a private balcony offering sweeping views, a romantic fireplace, and a walk-in closet that could hold a lifetime's worth of leather jackets. The ensuite bath, with its antique tile and deco accents, brings an old-school glamour that feels perfectly at home here. A special guest suite on the same level sits across 2 sun-drenched terraces, offering comfort and solitude along with its own bathroom. Head down to the lower level and the house just keeps giving. 2 more bedrooms, one with its own entrance and bath, ideal for guests or a live-in assistant, and a home theater complete with projector, screen, and full bar setup. It's like having your own private venue carved into the hillside. Then there's the pool, because no rock legend's mansion is complete without one. Idol's custom pool area is pure Hollywood hedonism, a sparkling oasis anchored by a Playboy mansion-style grotto spa. It's a place made for lingering, for storytelling, for cocktails that stretch into starlit conversations. A place where luxury and rebellion coexist under the California sun. Earlier this year, Billy Idol closed a chapter in rockstar real estate by selling his Los Angeles mansion for a striking $7.2 million. And if you ever laid eyes on the place, you'd understand why it fetched top dollar. Hidden at the very end of a quiet cul-de-sac, sitting on a perfectly flat acre, the estate was less a house and more a private sanctuary carved into the Hollywood Hills. With jaw-dropping front-row views of the legendary Hollywood sign, the property offered the kind of privacy and serenity that even a punk god like Idol can appreciate. From the moment you arrive, the house lets you know it's not here to blend in. A lush path through tropical landscaping and a tranquil koi pond draws you toward the entrance, where a pair of custom bronze sunburst doors, equal parts sculpture, and statement set the tone for what's inside. The interior is a masterclass in light and texture, where soaring vaulted ceilings and floor-to-ceiling windows bathe each room in California sunshine. Skylights cut through the ceilings like spotlight beams on a stage, illuminating the harmony of vintage charm and modern luxury. This wasn't just a cosmetic update. It was a full-blown reinvention. The home underwent a meticulous, top-to-bottom renovation that brought in the best of everything: solar energy, advanced audio-visual systems, brand new electrical and mechanical infrastructure, and carefully curated vintage design flourishes. New windows and sliding glass doors, especially the living room's custom folding wall and the master suite's disappearing glass wall, create a smooth, near-magical transition from inside to out. The dining room plays it cool and classy, centered around an authentic mid-century Italian chandelier by Oscar Torlasco, casting soft light across the sleek, intimate space. Nearby, the family room dials up the mood with walnut wall paneling and a recessed television that vanishes into the ceiling like a Vegas illusionist's trick, keeping the vibe clean and unfussy when it's time to unplug. But it's the master suite that steals the show. Once two bedrooms, now merged into one sprawling retreat, the space is anchored by a custom-built bed, mid-century nightstands and lamps, and a French fireplace that hums with quiet, curated luxury. The ensuite bathroom is a work of art in its own right, headlined by a stained glass shower crafted using a vintage technique from Spain and Portugal, a nod to Idol's appreciation for deep-rooted artistry. Naturally, the kitchen is as performance-ready as any recording studio. Custom walnut cabinetry with rounded edges adds a soft richness, while velvet-lined silverware drawers whisper opulence. It's not just a place to cook, it's a space meant for crafting experiences, for hosting those late-night hangs or casual brunches that turn into long, slow afternoons. Step outside, and the estate keeps unfolding like an album with no bad tracks. The backyard feels like a private resort, complete with manicured trees, exotic plants, and a pool and spa that seem to have been plucked straight from a five-star retreat. The canyon views stretch endlessly, unspoiled and cinematic. And tucked quietly within the grounds is a separate tatami-style guest house, a tranquil, Zen-inspired escape perfect for visitors or just finding your own headspace. Billy Idol, the snarling icon of punk-infused rock and roll, is a man who's lived life fast, loud, and entirely on his own terms. And his car collection is every bit a reflection of that defiant spirit. From the growl of American muscle to the purr of European elegance, Idol's garage doesn't just house vehicles, it tells the story of a rebel with a love for the road. At the heart of his collection rumbles a 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 302, the very definition of Detroit steel. Rebellion, raw, loud, and unapologetically bold, this beast mirrors Idol's own stage persona. With its aggressive lines and a V8 engine that sounds like it could tear through time itself, the Boss 302 isn't just a car. It's an attitude. It's no stretch to imagine Idol, leather jacket on, sunglasses fixed, cruising Sunset Boulevard in this roaring tribute to American horsepower. But Idol's taste doesn't stop with nostalgia. He also gets his thrills from a Porsche 911 Turbo, a different kind of monster. With its razor-sharp handling, turbocharged precision, and unmistakable silhouette, the 911 Turbo brings a dose of modern velocity to the mix. Sleek, stylish, and relentlessly fast, it's a car built for someone who still lives life in the fast lane. It's the rockstar equivalent of a guitar solo at 150 mph. Of course, no story of Billy Idol's life on wheels would be complete without a nod to the car that helped define his rise. The black 1972 Ford Falcon XB GT, better known to fans of Mad Max as the Interceptor. Not only did it embody the cinematic chaos of a dystopian world, but it also marked Idol's own breakout era. Gritty, powerful, and drenched in post-apocalyptic cool, the Interceptor wasn't just his first car. It was a symbol of transition from struggling artist to international icon. In that car, Idol didn't just drive, he transformed. And then there's the Aston Martin DB9. Refined, poised, and unapologetically glamorous, it's the elegant counterpart to Idol's rugged beginnings. The DB9 is the kind of car you arrive in, not just drive. Perfect for a rocker who's earned his place among the elite but hasn't lost his edge. With its intoxicating blend of performance and craftsmanship, it's clear why this British beauty holds a top spot in his heart. The DB9 doesn't scream for attention, it commands it, much like the man behind the wheel. But Idol's crowning jewel, the pièce de résistance, is the Rolls-Royce Phantom. This isn't just a car, it's a rolling palace. With its whisper-quiet, V12 engine, handcrafted interior, an air of untouchable opulence, the Phantom represents a level of luxury few attain. It's a symbol not just of success, but of permanence. Idol didn't just survive the music industry, he conquered it, and the Phantom is proof. It's more than a ride, it's a declaration. Together, Billy Idol's cars chart the story of a man who's lived every mile like a verse in a song, from the scrappy growl of the Falcon to the polished poetry of the Rolls. Billy Idol's life has always been a whirlwind of grit, glam, and guitar distortion. But behind the leather and the legend is a man who's seen as much chaos off stage as on. In 1980, he began a passionate relationship with singer and dancer, Perry Lister. The two were punk's power couple, wild and magnetic, and in 1988, they welcomed their son, Willem Wolf Broad. But even rock and roll love has its limits. The relationship burned out by 1989. That same year, just months later, Billy became a father once again when Linda Mathis gave birth to his daughter, Bonnie Blue Broad, on August 21st. Years down the road, Bonnie would give Billy one of the most unexpected titles of his career, grandfather. In 2020, she welcomed her daughter, Poppy Rebel, a name that feels like it could headline its own tour someday. Willem, meanwhile, clearly inherited more than just a sneer and a set of cheekbones from his dad. He dove into music like it was in his blood, playing in the experimental band Fim and the electro-punk outfit Jugs, proving the Idol fire doesn't skip generations. Though born in England, Billy didn't limit himself to one flag. In 2018, he officially became an American citizen, adding stars and stripes to his Union Jack roots, and now proudly holds dual citizenship between the UK and the US, a fitting setup for a man whose sound always blended British rebellion with American swagger. But Billy's journey hasn't been without harsh detours. In 1990, life nearly hit the brakes for good. While riding his motorcycle in Los Angeles, he was struck by a truck, an accident that left him with internal injuries, multiple broken bones, and a leg in brutal condition. Just 4 years later, things spiraled again when a drug overdose brought him terrifyingly close to death. That moment, more than any critic or consequence, forced a reckoning. "I had young children," he later said, "and eventually you think about, do they want a dad who's a bit messed up? And they don't want that." With that, Billy made the hardest pivot of his career, not into a new genre, but into clarity. He gave up drugs, faced down his demons, and chose to live not just for the crowd, but for his kids. It's easy to see Billy Idol as the eternal rocker, frozen in time with a curled lip and a fist in the air. But the full picture is far more human. Behind the snarl is a survivor, a father, a grandfather, a man who's crashed hard and gotten back up, not because the spotlight demanded it, but because life, family, and legacy called for something louder than rebellion, redemption.